guys, Eric and Roth here. I want to thank Chris for standing in for me the last couple weeks, but we're back to talk about the episode Second Sons. A much more focused episode than some Game of Thrones.
Yeah.
There was really just 3 main storylines, but we did have the beginning and the end. We caught up with characters, and Arya, a very nice scene at the beginning, couple scenes with her and the Hound, who she has a lot of reasons to hate, but she's starting to see some different sides too.
Well, I think we all are starting to see some different sides. Nobody's perfect on Game of Thrones, as we know, and the Hound certainly isn't, but you should have seen his brother, like he says. And the truth is, there are worse people for her to be traveling with. We know that he was good to Sansa in his own way, and he's taking her to someplace that she may be safe, or that is his intention in any event.
Yeah, I mean, it's the closest chance she's ever had to get back to any of her family members now.
Right.
He's taking her to where he knows Kat and Robb will be. He's just in it for the money, which is an advantage, because he doesn't want to hurt her. He probably would if whoever was in charge paid him to, but in this case, he's like, I can get some money by getting you to your brother. That's what I'll do.
I don't know that he would. I'll be honest. I really don't know that the Hound would at this point.
Right.
I think he's a more complex man than that. I don't know that he would. He'd find someone else that didn't want to hurt her who would also give him money. That's what I think that he would do.
Yeah.
And in a way, it's good for her to be around somebody like this because, frankly, she wants to learn how to be a killer, and that's just what he is.
Very true. Stannis is a character we don't see a lot of on this show. Amongst all those people who want to be king, we don't get to know him a lot. So I really liked what happened in this episode, especially his conversation with Davos, where Davos really kind of had his number and said, you came here to convince me to not go through with this horrible thing.
Yeah, I love that moment between them because it speaks so much about sort of the undercurrents of friendship and how people that can read each other and really know somebody's intent. I think he's really split because I think Stannis is kind of a moral man in his own way. Well, in many ways. But Melisandre really has him convinced, and rightfully so, that the Lord of Light is guiding them and that this is going to yield dividends for them. I don't want to see Gendry go. I don't think any of us want to see that happen. I think that we knew that this was exactly what she meant by your blood is special.
Yeah.
We knew that he was going to be a sacrificial lamb. I'm not a huge fan of the leech on the penis moment, unfortunately, but it's better than death.
Well, I will say this. The last 2 weeks of Game of Thrones have taught us one thing, which is in Westeros, if a gorgeous woman that you don't really know takes all her clothes off and gets on top of you, don't go along with it because something really horrible will happen to your penis very shortly thereafter. And Gendry had to learn that lesson this week, unfortunately.
That's a little, the more you know, Gendry.
That's the more you know. But then, even though she did not kill him, she did the leech thing and did this sort of spell to try to get rid of Balon Greyjoy, Joffrey, and Robb. And, we'll see because we've seen that she can make things happen.
Sure, and I think that the other thing that was interesting this week that got introduced was the idea of, listen, Melisandre does terrible things, they all do, but is it for a higher good? At least does she really believe that it is, that there is this darkness coming and that if Stannis does not win, or whatever the Lord of Light wants does not happen, that it will take over Westeros and wipe out all the light? I don't know.
And then as a fan of books, I will say that I again think it's a smart idea. They got rid of another bastard of Roberts and gave Gendry some stuff that he didn't have here, and I think it just works. Like getting rid of Loras's brother, it's like there's a lot of characters, so let's pare it down. Moving on to Tyrion,
the god of tits and wine,
self-proclaimed. Tyrion always knows what to say, and he's such great with the way of speaking, unlike myself right now. But when he came to talk to Sansa, what really struck was that he did not know what to say. He was so awkward. It's a horrible situation they're both in. And it was really interesting to just see him so uncomfortable when he went to talk to her.
Yeah, I think that was great because, listen, I think one of the great things about that sequence was to remind us that, look, let's put the books aside for a moment if we can and just focus on the television show. Even in the world of the television show, these are very young characters. And I think one of the fun things about Game of Thrones is to sort of like any show like this, is to pretend, oh, I wonder what I would do and how would I play the game. I know I would have been dead long ago and made all the wrong decisions. But it's fun to sort of judge what they're doing. But then when we're reminded, man, this is a 14-year-old girl, especially because Sophie doesn't look like she's 14 because she's not. But to be reminded this is a 14-year-old girl and Daenerys is also really young, it kind of helps you have a little bit more compassion for maybe some of the errors or the missteps that they're making. Yeah,
very, very young character. And then, that wedding ceremony, Joffrey, classic Joffrey, being so horrible, taking away the stool so that Tyrion couldn't get, just just to embarrass him, just because Joffrey gets off on doing horrible things.
Yes, he certainly does. Yes, he certainly does. But I think that also lent itself to kind of the dire nature of the situation. And I'm surprised that actually I was looking for Sansa to say, you know what, stay with me tonight. You know, I think if I had been in her position, I would have said that to Tyrion, and thank God he did and stayed and watched over her, because I wouldn't have put it past Joffrey to do what he threatened to do and rape her.
Yeah, at this point, yeah. I mean, now that we've seen how sadistic he killed Roz, you know, it's like, yeah, he would do anything. But yeah, just this whole wedding ceremony that, you know, is interesting. Again, Cersei can't control Joffrey, even her trying to get him maybe to not be so horrible at the wedding, but he's on his own.
What did you think of that moment with Cersei and Marjorie? Who do you think, I mean, I love that moment.
Yeah.
I will have you strangled in your sleep.
Right,
She just doesn't care anymore. You know, she's not playing around like, shut up, who cares, Loras? But there's something I'm like, I really wouldn't mess with Marjorie.
Oh yeah, yeah. A lot of people were saying, both the Lannister siblings are saying things they shouldn't. You know, Tyrion was saying stuff to Joffrey he shouldn't. So they're both overstepping their bounds in a big way. And yeah, right now, you know, Tyrion did not go through with sleeping with Sansa. He says he wants her to actually want it to happen before he'll do anything. So we'll see how that very, very odd wedding, very odd married couple will go. Going over to Dany, though, you know, she already had a big army, and this week was about her trying to get a lot more soldiers onto that with the introduction of the Second Sons. And what do you think of that group?
You know, it's interesting because with Dany, I feel like a lot of it is sort of her stumbling through learning how to be in a leadership position and trying different things, and sometimes they work and sometimes they don't, and sometimes they accidentally work, you know, because she sort of took a risk. Yes, she's got the dragons, yes, she's got the larger army, but still it was a risk that she took, sort of laying down the gauntlet like she did.
Yeah.
Could it have been done better? I don't know. It worked. It was effective either way, but that was just a stroke of luck in a way.
It worked because of Dario. You know, Dario, which I will say is pretty funny physically how different he is from the books, just because he doesn't have the blue hair, the gold teeth. He's much more TV friendly, TV hunky with the long flowing locks.
Looks a little Fabio.
A little Fabio, but he proved that certainly he proved his allegiance, or at least right now his allegiance, by what he did and taking out those two guys who just wanted her dead at the moment.
Yeah, and I mean, I will say I loved the moment. I like to see Daenerys be successful, but there was something about it that was like, you also have my heart. I thought, maybe we could rework that line a little bit just for the purpose of the series, because it does feel a little bit, that was fast.
Right.
You know, I mean, you have my penis, I'll die.
That was what he meant. He's just speaking in a different terminology. And then lastly, you know, we only saw Sam briefly, but a big event happened for him.
Been waiting for this. I've been waiting for the reveal of what Dragonglass could do and how significant it is. I think we were all yelling at the television like, go back and get that blade, Sam, you know? But I've been waiting for this because this is what's so cool about this series. I mean, it's kind of wonky to use the metaphor of a game, like a chessboard, but it really is. And I think that what we're starting to see now is how all of these pieces are really working together, or how they could work together. And it's sort of fun to speculate on that. Dragonglass, look what it can do. What does that mean? What is that significance of that in the larger sort of scheme of things? Where is there a lot of Dragonglass?
Yeah,
you know?
And a great moment for Sam just to be able to be the one to discover what Dragonglass does.
Absolutely, absolutely. And I just think that's what's neat about it, because you start to think, well, I mean, one of the big questions of this episode is, are things fated? You know, things that seem sort of coincidental, are they actually fated? I guess that's up for the viewer and reader to decide.
And they moved when that happened. The Sam killing with the Dragonglass happened in a different place with different characters around him in the books. I like that it had to happen in front of Gilly here. You know, it gives a nice moment with Gilly, you know?
He's a little hero.
Right, so go Sam. What'd you think of this episode? Let us know. We'll be back in 2 weeks for the next one.
And hey, listen guys, just really quickly, of course we know some things that are coming up. We know that some of you know some things that are coming up. We're trying to look at these just like they are, the episode itself. Please, 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 we only have so much time to get into depth here. We love to read your comments. Please make that possible by being courteous and not spoiling anything, and being courteous to one another.
And if you're not,
and us, why not?
If you're not, we'll just assume someone cut your penis off and you're really angry about that. It's the only explanation, right?
It's the only explanation I have.
Yeah, if you give spoilers, your penis was cut off. Okay, thanks guys. We'll be back to talk to you next time.